I have got a hell of a lot to catch you up on, I think. Let's talk about Bradley Dack. Oh my God, they're selling the house, they're getting a divorce. My PR team were like, well, I think you should, post photos together and you should go to some events together. I don't like the idea of forcing photos out onto my Instagram to pretend we're really happy when we weren't. And she's like, can I say something to you? It's live on air. She goes, I don't know what you were trying to achieve, but you look a lot older because of what you've done to yourself. Yeah, it was the year of the snake, apparently. Go figure. Can you tell us the story of the TikTok about the leech? No, I can't talk about this. Can I? Hi dolls, welcome to Olivia's house with just Olivia today. I put out a little Q&A on the Insta and I said, who do you want to see on the pod? And you did give me some really good names that I've taken on board. Emails have been sent to agents. We are putting the work in, but one of the most highly requested guests was me, myself and I, which is really not good for my ego. But I thought, you know what? I'm the easiest guest to book because I just have to check my own diary. So let's do it. And I have got a hell of a lot to catch you up on, I think. We'll kind of get to that in a minute. And I've done basically an accumulation of your most asked questions. So a way to kind of give you the life updates that you want. But I think the first thing I should say is, obviously, welcome to the house. From what I can see on socials, you like it. I think you thought you were getting a bar or a club. What I will say is that my plans for Olivia's house and like the brand and the community I'm trying to grow here is that nothing's off the table. And this Olivia's house is metaphorical at the moment. It's a space for all of us to be, for me to catch up with you in a much more direct, quick turnaround way than I can on telly, and talk to cool, interesting people that you want to hear from, that I want to hear from. And, this is our space. But it doesn't mean that in points during 2026, it won't become a literal space. So that's what I'm going to say on that. Those of you that have followed me over from So Wrong It's Right, obviously had great years doing that pod, loved it. But I just got to that point where I felt like I needed to move the podcast in a direction that felt more in line with me. Content-wise, it's like fairly similar is how I'd see it. It's conversations, it's fun, it's chat, it's all the rest of it, nothing's off the table. But I think aesthetically and just like a little bit of the tone, I needed to bring it into 2025 and just kind of reflect who I am now. I was going to say as an adult, the studio is very grown up, and the aesthetic, I want it to feel like an extension of me and like, the house that I live in and my style. But the only thing that's not matured is the host herself, as you probably know. And that's probably why you've got so many questions for me. So I think we should make a little start. So I think the top thing that I'll tell you is that I'm alive. As you can see, this is not AI. I'm physically here. Just about. I think that I tested the limits of my own human abilities the last couple of months. And there's so many of you DM me all the time, like pleading for me to take a break. And I guess I should have listened. It's really boring. I'm not going to go on about it too much, but I had that horrible virus that everyone had. I had a chest infection, then I had strep throat. And I just, wanted to not let people down. It's like, I'm such a martyr like that. And I was just pushing myself. And then, I think it was Friday of a couple of weeks ago, I went in to film Loose Women and I was in Glam and I just I felt really ill that day. I felt terrible. I should never have gone in. It was crazy. But it's like live telly. I was like, I didn't cancel yesterday. I definitely can't cancel on the day. And then we were in the morning meeting and I just felt like, when you feel like you're having an out-of-body experience, I felt like I was watching myself from the other side of the room and I felt really far away from everything. It was really strange. I was coughing. And then we was in Glam and someone came in and handed me some scripts and I was like, what are these for? And she was like, the show that you're about to do in like 15 minutes. And then I just went really like glassy eyed, and my Glam team, actually Sarah and Karen, bless them, they were like looking really worried. And I was like, guys, no, I'm fine. I was like, just feel a little bit lightheaded. I'm just going to lay on the floor for a minute, like just to put my legs up and get my blood pressure up a little bit. And then I think I asked another really obvious question that I should have known the answer to. And then producer came in. He was like, I think it's probably important you don't do live telly right now, because I think you don't even know where you are, let alone what you're going to say on there that could affect all of us negatively. So I went home and I slept for like 2 days, which I've heard apparently is not that crazy thing to do when you're ill. But me, with my guilt complex, it did feel really, really weird. But we're on the mend. Really boring, sick talk. But I hope to be back to full functioning very soon. Because 2026 is a very, very big year. I'm not going to say there's so much exciting stuff happening. Oh my God, I literally have to do that sometimes. I see influencers or people in telly say that. I think, oh my God, I hope you have the worst year just because you said that. So I'm not going to say it's exciting, even though it is. It's just busy. We've got new TV shows. I've got returning TV shows. We've obviously got Olivia's House. We'll be like, fully into the swing of things by then. Working with some brands that I literally, oh my God, I can't even believe they want to work with me. I was like looking around the other day, I was on this massive shoot for this campaign that will come out in 2026. And I was like, this is a recession indicator that I am fronting this campaign. They're like, they couldn't afford Kendall, they couldn't afford Cheryl Cole. They're like, sure, let's get fucking Olivia Attwood in her. She's fucking cheap. And she'll work even though she's on death's door. It's just perfect. Yeah. The recession's working in my favour because I'm getting all the good jobs. I'm really excited about it. I feel like I've nailed work this year, if I say so myself. And I feel like what I've managed to squeeze in, I'm really proud of. And I wouldn't be doing any of it if it wasn't for you guys and the way you've supported me and been with me since the day I left that villa. Some of you even been with me on Instagram before when I was a Monster Girl. God, like you are really strong for sticking around. But what I got wrong was the work-life balance. Well, I didn't get it wrong. I didn't have one. But I'm kind of like, my opinions on work-life balance are kind of controversial because I also think that, I'll give myself my flowers. I work really hard. But I think when people who do basically their dream for a job then kind of harp on about, oh, I work so hard. For some people, a job is just a way to survive, and that's fine. But I think because I get to do something that like I dreamed of and I cannot believe this is my life. And every day I wake up and think, this is another really bad trip from something I took in Ibiza 10 years ago and I still haven't woken up. Like, is this real? And so I think that I'm very protective of it and I don't want to miss a moment. And I want to make hay while the sun shines. Do you know what I mean? But on the back of that, I think I have to find a way to have an existence outside of it, which I think I kind of lost. And that's these things that are affected by that. Marriage is affected by it. Friendships are affected by it. Your family. And I think that I'm really lucky and I have like an amazing supportive partner, friends, family who all understand and they're patient with me and they're forgiving. And, there was something circulating the other day because I made a comment about, buying my friends dinner. It's like, yeah, I am going to pick up the check when I go to dinner with my friends not because I have to, because they make me feel like I have to, but my friends are so patient with me. When I miss christenings, birthdays, like you name it, if I've got a schedule and I cannot find the space, they never make me feel bad for it. So I always like to try and like give back to them like where I can. It's exciting. Yeah, I get excited by it. I like to be busy. I feel like gratitude for being busy, but I'm not going to say that I don't feel pressure. I think that pressure is, I feel pressure that of all the different things I'm trying to achieve, trying to cut myself into enough pieces to make sure that I deliver what each project deserves, because what you don't want to do is do lots of things half-assed. I want to do enough and do it like brilliantly. And I think that what I've taken from 2025 is that I'm going to be doing less projects, but the ones I am doing, I want to be able to give them more time. And I also just try and like pressure, even though it can sometimes I feel the weight of it, but I also have to remember that it's a privilege to feel pressure to do something that you dreamed of doing. And I feel that when a lot of people expect, something of you, expect a high performance, they expect recommissions, they expect high views. Of course, sometimes that feels like a lot, but I also think, okay, like what an honour that these people actually are looking to me to deliver that for them. And, we're in a weird climate with entertainment and media, like trying to work out what people want to watch, what's going to get their attention. There's so much stuff out there. There's so many podcasts, there's so many TV shows. So, to make stuff that's going to bring people in and bring them back for returning series, returning episodes, it's a real art form and it's a real team effort. So I also want to make sure that I'm, doing the justice. I'm the person in front of the camera, but there's a whole team of people behind me making it happen who are also working their fucking arse off. So I want to make sure that I am representing us and what we've created in the best way I can. Saying no is a difficult one for me. I think I'm getting slightly better, and I know people look at my schedule and think bullshit. And I think I'm gaining more confidence in myself in the sense that I can say no and know that my career's not going to disappear. I think that this year I've proven a lot of people that my worth in the place that I'm in now. Some people I probably haven't still, couldn't give a fuck about them. But the people that I wanted to show that I can handle the pressure, I can perform in different forums, I can be agile, I can go from daytime to late night stuff to pod. I think I've proved that. So now I've got a little bit more confidence in myself to be like, okay, if I don't take that job, doesn't mean, they're never going to ask me again, or, that I'm going to get, wiped from this industry. And I've created, I think, a space for myself that I feel like I'm confident in it. Whereas I think that, in the earlier days, when I was trying to break down a lot of doors, I thought, okay, I have to do everything because, what if they book someone else and then they like them better and then they never ask me again? And there's I think you get a lot of self-doubt and you kind of, you're scared to say no to things, but I've definitely got better. I don't know if you guys remember it. I'll try and clip it here. But at the start of the year, we did this little sketch where I'm talking about the year that's coming up and all the projects that I've got. And then I kind of had myself sat around this boardroom table being the different versions of myself. And then at the end, Liv, robot Liv, malfunctions and all the screws come out of her head. And so, possibly was that a little bit of subtle foreshadowing? Maybe. So I think that maybe where I've gone wrong this year is days off haven't really been days off. I think where I'm a complete and utter productivity junkie, I guess. And also, I hate bang on this, but I have got ADHD. I don't medicate it. Maybe I should review that. So I don't do well with idle time. And I think where I am juggling so much that then when I get a day off, I'm like, oh, I should reorganize the flat. I should, I should go and get all my beauty treatments done, which, girls, come on, the nail bar. I know boys go, oh, you're getting your nails done. What a nice treat. Fuck off, Dave. It's not a treat. I wish I could cut my hands off, put them in the salon and come back for them. It's oh my God, it's just time that is so long. It's nails, get my hair. So I end up cramming the day with all the bits of life stuff I need to do. I might sit and reply to 50 emails. So I end up basically using my day off to do the other things. And so I think that's what I need to get a little bit better at is my day off needs to be, even if it's once every 2 weeks, I need to have a day that's okay, I'm just going to do what I want to do today. Because what I want to do is go to Selfridges and buy a handbag. And I'm always one handbag away from a good mood. So that's what I need to remember. That's maybe should be if I'm ever being really difficult, or I don't think I'm difficult, but I think when I'm feeling the pressure, I can get a little, everyone, I can get a little bit prickly. I think they should be Liv, take 45 minutes, go just buy a bag. You'll come back a new person. We'll all be better off for it. You can't put a price on that dopamine. And just interesting, I was thinking about this the other day, and this is going to be controversial, but I'll die on this hill. I think I'm such a contradiction in that I think people who are really hung up on designer goods, luxury items, are normally because they're really fucking boring. If you think about it, think of influencers who their whole personality is what they buy. It's normally a sedative watching their videos. Oh my God. I'm oh my God, you're so boring. So of course you need a fucking Birkin, because what else are you going to talk about? But I would argue I have a lot of personality, but I am really obsessed with luxury goods. So I don't know why. I just thought that the other day. I thought I don't really need to. I could use my brain for something different, but it's just a little fetish of mine, I suppose. But there's a big dopamine kick from, spending money or doing something that you shouldn't really do. And ADHD people, if you have ADHD, we get big kicks out of novelty. I mean, come on, guys, look at me. I had fucking 48 Labubus. What the fuck? Because I look at them now and think, you deserve a better life than this. Because I am that. But that's what I used to do with men before I got married. I'd be oh my God, I want it. It's mine. It's so shiny. It's so new. I'm going to get a tattoo of its name. And then a few weeks later, I'd be No. So bored of you. I mean, the OGs know the J tattoo lives on. I've got a small tattoo. It's very small, actually. It's like, and it's really quite a weird place, like under my armpit. It's like a J like that. For a boy that I dated, the name, no more place name. For a boy I dated with the name beginning with J. And I think they had the tattoo done on like month 1. He didn't know. It was a surprise. Because I was dating, I think that what my friends used to say, and they, and I don't like condone this or recommend it. It's really toxic. And when men do this, it's awful. But I think I used to blow really hot and cold so I could kind of get away with it. Like I probably got his name tattooed, then didn't speak to him for a month. Like, do you know what I mean? There was no danger of him thinking like she's stalking me, because I don't think he ever knew where he stood with me. I didn't know where I stood with myself. Do you know what I mean? So, and I haven't got it lasered off. One, because it's just, you can't really see it. My God, we'll get on to Brad in a minute, don't worry. But Brad, obviously being Brad, he doesn't care. I think he'd care if it was like on my face or on my chest, do you know what I mean? But like you have to really look for it to see it. And I also, that relationship was a happy, fun, it was more of a fling that I kind of think when I see it sometimes, I kind of laugh. And I kind of, a lot of my tattoos, I've got some stupid tattoos now, they do have good memories. And I think even when I'm older, I've just put the most perfect metaphor. So, some people who've got really good relationships with their self-worth will look in the mirror and be like, these aren't wrinkles, these are a line for when I laugh so hard on the beach. Well, I'm not going to have any, let's be honest. So my memories will be my tattoos, okay? Because my face is going to be like telling the story of someone that lived in an incubator their whole life. But my tattoos will tell you, oh no, this bitch lived. They'll be in the nursing home and be like, this bitch has got lore. She's got stories. Face, it looks, that doesn't move. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to have a great relationship with aging when, you're a millennial, went to boarding school, mum was a model. Yeah. But, God, you can't be happy about everything, can you? Let's talk about Bradley Dack, this poor unwitting soul that married me. And he's still very sure he's made the right decision. So you tell me who's the problem here, right? There's no secret. I'd say we had a really bad summer. And I kind of feel that, I know this is like really just not how people do things in my world. They just don't talk about marriage in this way. And, what I say about our marriage, I speak with him before I say it. Like, I think people think I'm just like this unfiltered, uncouth, raging maniac, which I am. But when it comes to him, I'll kind of be like, this is what I think I'm going to say in this interview. Like, are you comfortable? But it's no secret we had a bad summer. And I think that there was stuff going on both sides. Like, at the end of the day, marriage is really fucking hard. I've known Brad for over a decade now. I mean, if you're really new here, we dated before Love Island, and we have both grown so much as people that that is like the whole concept of marriage and long-term relationships. It is actually so unnatural in the way that the person you are when you meet is not the person who I am today. And the same with him. So you're always kind of getting to know each other and kind of learning like how to navigate your relationship in this new stage that you're in. And I think that this will relate to some people, but he wasn't perfect either. During when we've had these issues, there was issues, that he'd brought to the table that I'll let him share with you when we come together on this pod at some point. But for me, when I'm feeling the pressure of my job, I'm not splitting my time right, then I'm feeling frustrations with him. I can be a little bit self-destruct, like, in the sense of it kind of just push away, like rather than leaning in and being like, okay, like we should reconnect. We ended up kind of pushing each other away. And, I had to say this. The rumour mill was in full swing about us having a divorce, and there were source quotes going out, and they were from people we know. You'll never, with the source quote thing, because I know a lot of people always ask me about that, papers and magazines. you just never know. There's no way to ever know who a source is unless it's some information that only someone else had. And the source quotes were very generalized. So I don't know, they could have been completely false. They could have been from some distant person who hardly fucking knows us. Who knows? And I'm happy to even like bring the fourth wall down as much as this. Like my PR team were like, well, I think you should, post photos together and you should go to some events together, and then it's just going to draw a line under it. At that time, we really weren't getting on very well. And I just that's just not who I am. Like, I don't like the idea of forcing photos out onto my Instagram to pretend we're really happy when we weren't. Or, he doesn't like red carpets anyway. So why am I going to, I've been in Ibiza. I've been pictured with my mate for my radio show, being too close. Like, he's already pissed off at me. Why I'm going to be like, okay, now you have to come with me to a red carpet and stand next to me and pretend like we're really happy. To me, that was, I said this, and my agents got it. I was like, I actually think I'm tempting fate by forcing that narrative, because then I felt there's even more pressure on us to then live up to this narrative that I'd rather just... I'll say what I need to say, but I'd rather just let things naturally sort themselves out, and then he will naturally, organically start appearing in my content more. And I think that I'm proud of myself for being transparent enough to say that with you, because I know that's what so many people are afraid to say. And I get it. I think that I've been in this industry long enough now that I understand the position of a publicist. I understand that they're there to help me, and I understand their point of view of it. But now I think I've been here long enough to be like, I get what you're saying, but I actually think I've got the confidence to actually just ride this out a little bit. And yeah, it means people are going to still keep talking, but I think putting out content that's not genuine would actually stress me out more. I mean, I want to say this in a way that doesn't sound like what Brad and I talk about is that sometimes as well, talking about everyone overreacted to fuck me going to Ibiza. Oh my God, I am going to live my life. I really, literally hate to break this to you, but I'm not going to be guilted into not having a holiday with my mates. But I think what I've found is that this year, and I've kind of now acknowledged that I haven't found a way to decompress. So what I love to do is partying. I've always been a party girl. That's never going to change. But I think what I started to do was, say I had 15 days on filming, and then I had an event, and I'd be like, okay, should I drink a bit? Then, especially if you've got ADHD, it takes 2 or 3 drinks for you just to feel like a normal person. So now I'm like, okay, now I feel like a normal person. All the voices in my head have calmed down. The music in the venue doesn't feel like it's scratching my brain. I can finally just kind of decompress. But then I think there's when you're someone who's such a control freak like I am, and you do have you're spinning a lot of plates, you think, oh my God, I actually feel relaxed and I don't care about anything in this moment. So you kind of want to chase that feeling, and then using a night out as your decompression can be good, because sometimes you need to blow out, but it's not a long-term sustainable tactic for balance. And I think that I got into a bad habit of doing that. And then Brad would be like, why, you've just gone out till 4 a.m. and you've got this massive week. And I'd be thinking, oh, fuck off. I need to have fun. But also, is finding the balance of I need to have fun, and I 100% I'm going to be that person that's I'm a good time to go out with. I'm always going to have fun, but I think using that as my way of coping with my diary is kind of counterproductive, and I think everything suffers a little bit off the back of it. People always ask me how I don't take press personally, because at the end of the day, it's not personal. That's just how I see it. Unless someone wrote something about me that was so character damning, and it was she's a fucking dog murderer or something, do you know what I mean? Where I'd be like, okay, that's actually damaging. It's not personal. It's a two-way relationship. I need press to survive in this industry. I need press to promote my projects, and press need to write about things that people give a fuck about. So they need to write things that get clicked on, and clicks are money. So what I've done for a long time, and it can be difficult, is I separate. And this is not a personal thing. No one's, there's no vendetta against me. It's part of the job. And I think that, I'm not going to deny it's painful sometimes, and I'm not going to say, because, I feel like I've been on the whole pretty lucky. There are people in this industry, especially I think before my time, that suffered horrendously with the hands of the press. I think it's changed a lot. I think there's a lot more limitations in place, and I don't take it personally. And I think that with a job that is so privileged and comes with so many like perks, and it's such a privileged existence that I think, I'm not going to bellyache about that, because it's kind of part of the deal. And I do think that when people come off Love Island shows like that, you really quickly realise who's going to cut it out in this industry and who's not. And I think a big key player in that is like, are you resilient enough to detach yourself from the online and the reality? And I think that I do that really well. And sometimes I catch myself on like a TikTok hole, and I'm watching a TikTok of someone talking about me, like my personal life, and then I kind of just think, okay, no, like, why am I watching this? Like, why am I watching this? Someone's creating content for their own gain. It's not actually any of my business. This isn't like, what my business is what I put out there. And that's why having things like this, like Olivia's house, is so good, because, you can hear the words from my mouth. Because unless you've seen something in an interview and it literally has quote marks on it, like literally a direct quote, or you hear it from me sitting here in this chair, then I haven't said it, or I don't think it. And I've got no issue sharing my opinions, because sometimes I see this TikTok and it's like, blah, Olivia's got beef with this person. I'm like, but actually the whole thing I talk about, they haven't actually got one single quote from me or anything to really back it up. So that's, I'm kind of like, it's kind of mad that a narrative can run, but there's never been anything, I've never said anything, I'm just living. And I think with Brad, I think the sides of it that are probably slightly harder for him than me, and I completely accept that, and I'm not naive to that. But he also, coming from football, he has experience. If I'm honest, like football, like fans and football media are way, way worse than anything we're dealing in reality TV. They are so brutal. Like, and he's dealt with that since he's 15 years old. Like, you missing a free kick and then your inbox is just loaded with abuse, like really, really horrible abuse. As a professional athlete, you're a commodity. You're not really a person. You get bought and sold at the end of every year. He's kind of grown up with very thick skin, and so I think that gives him an advantage to navigate the world that I'm now in as well, because I think if he'd come from like an office job, very private life, even though he's private as a person about his personal life, he's used to being in a public forum and being discussed. I think Love Island fans are like really vanilla compared to football fans. My takeaway from this year is that it's been an amazing year. And I can't believe how much that I've packed into it. And, and I think Brad and I have had highs and lows, but we've had massive highs. Like, we've had good memories, we've had fun, we're going through right now as I speak, we're going through like the Cheshire house being sold. It's a massive adjustment in our life. Again, just ironically, the Cheshire house was always being sold because we live in London now. It's no use to us. But obviously the timing of it was like, oh my God, they're selling the house, they're getting a divorce. I'm like, okay, that is unfortunate timing. But actually, ironically, that house was already going up for sale before any trouble with me and him. So yeah, that's happening. Relocating, and just enjoying work, trying to find something that resembles a balance. But like I say, I'm really cautious around that word balance, because I also think that like if you want something that not many people have, I love this quote, if you want something not many people have, then you have to do what not many people want to do. And I think what I want for myself, what I've achieved for myself in this last year, and what I want for myself in the future, not many people have it. Not many people have done it. I don't need, I'm not expecting a medal for me, like I say, putting in the hours for my dream job, because I think that's the least I can fucking do. And, a lot of people stop me and they say, oh, how'd you do it? And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not saying I don't work hard, but I don't have children. There's no one who, apart from my dogs, who's dependent on me. I've got a great team around me. If I'm not going to do it now, if I'm not going to make it now, if I'm not going to, when, like this, I'm healthy, I've got my health and my family's healthy. It's like, there's so many people that have so many more things working against them. And I think I'm always like really just a realist about that. And I'm like, I've got everything in my favor to achieve all this stuff. So like, if not now, when? Hi dolls, it's time to get cozy here at Olivia's house, brought to you by Sky, who have your Christmas entertainment sorted. You know I love a good chat about relationships, the good, the bad, and the slightly tragic. So today we're talking about one of my favourite Christmas films ever, Love Actually. I thought it'd be fun to discuss the couples in this classic because we're counting all kinds of love here. Right, first up, we've got David and Natalie, arguably like the kind of hero relationship of the whole film, I would say. David is the Prime Minister, and Natalie is your down-to-earth tea girl. She does the trolley at 10 Downing Street. They're one of my favourite romances of this film because it's the unlikeness of their love. Him being the Prime Minister, he's like kind of uptight, geeky, and then she's this really down-to-earth. She's a little bit cockney. She's got no airs of grace as she swears, and you would just kind of never really put them together. And then they obviously have that really iconic kiss at the nativity play, which is slightly niche, but it's a cult moment in this film that's like, I think we all remember the first time we saw that. And yeah, I love them. They get 10 out of 10 from me. Okay, next we have Jamie and Aurelia. So Jamie moves abroad because he gets cheated on early in the film, and then he falls in love with his Portuguese housekeeper, Aurelia. And it's kind of like that, I guess maybe, is it like a romantic fantasy that a lot of us have had? When I watch this, I'm thinking, yes, my fantasy would be to date someone that I don't have to talk to. And then I'm also thinking, would Brad learn a language from me? I think he's spending most time pretending he can't speak English so he can get out of listening to me. But it's very romantic. And then he flies across the world or wherever, Europe, to propose to her in front of the whole village with his very broken Portuguese that he's learned. So this is like proper, this is movie love, because would it have legs in real life? I don't know. I think there's a lot of issues out of the gate there. It's not going to be easy, but then men don't like listening, so maybe it's perfect. Moving on to Harry and Karen. I fear that he is famous on the internet for all the wrong reasons. If you have watched this film or you've had any social media app in the last 10 years, you've seen that clip where Harry buys a necklace for his PA at the office, and then Karen finds it, she opens it, she thinks, oh my God, he's bought me a gold necklace, but then on Christmas Day, she opens it, and it's a freaking CD. Like, it's not even a good gift, it's a terrible gift, and she goes upstairs and cries, but then she has to pull herself together for the kids. Horrendous. And maybe one of the reasons I don't have children, because imagine having the worst moment of your life, then having to be like, okay, Christmas! Like, no, I would burn the house to the ground. But, you know, if I'm going to be balanced here, adult relationships are hard and complex, and you do see at the end of the film, they kind of reunite at the nativity play, and there's kind of a moment of like realization. Maybe he's realized how he's behaved so wrongly, and, you know, you're left with hope that they're going to be able to, like, you know, not throw their relationship away and move on to a better future. And potentially my favourite love story of them all is Billy Mack and Joe. Billy Mack is this Christmas anthem icon, and then Joe is his long-suffering manager. But it's a platonic love. It's a love of friendship. And then there's this really wholesome moment on Christmas Eve where Billy Mack, he's been at the party, he's been with all the girls, and he says to Joe, "You're the love of my life." And they basically like chill and watch a film together. And I love that because I feel it just represents that love comes in all kinds of different ways. And, you know, a lot of my friends are the loves of my life. And I think that it's really special. I think they're hilarious. I love that Billy Mack is just like unapologetically himself. And Joe just loves him for it. And it's a very wholesome, sweet twist on a love story. That's what makes Love Actually so good. It blends all the warmth, emotion, and festive chaos. Basically, it's Christmas in a film. So I want you guys to rewatch it with me. Grab your warmest blanket, your popcorn, your festive fizz, and watch Love Actually on Sky Cinema this Friday. Then head over to Olivia's House Instagram to see my reactions. We'll be watching it on Sky Cinema, and honestly, it's the perfect start to Christmas. And while you're there are lots of other Christmas favourites to watch. Elf, The Holiday, The Polar Express, plus the latest blockbusters. So that's your festive season sorted, courtesy of Sky Cinema. See you this Friday on the Olivia's House Instagram for our Love Actually watch-along. Okay, dolls, enough about me. I mean, God, I thought you'd hear me say that. This is some of your burning questions that came through on the Olivia's House Instagram. They're kind of generalised questions, so let's just get into it. First question. When a girl is born feral, do you ever think she will stop? I think if you're feral, like to your core, and I also think that, okay, I was going to say, I know I do a lot of free promo work for alcohol. Like being feral doesn't just mean drinking. Like I think feral women and wild women, I think you always are. It's always in your soul. Because I think ultimately, like when you think about someone who's feral, it's like they don't care. Like there's a really like, you know, on a surface level, they care, but like in their soul, they don't. So I think that is the epitome of being a feral woman. And I think it should be protected at all costs. This is my scientific opinion. Next question. I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. Could you please remind me of your hangover cure? Buckle up, honey, because Vegas is going to take your soul in ways that you just don't even know. And then you're going to get to the airport and things get worse. It's such a great city. It's the fucking worst airport ever. So my hangover cure, this is really obviously just please, you know, proceed with caution. In any hotel lobby in Vegas, there are like these little like 7-Eleven like things. So it's a extra large Bud Light lime flavoured. Don't tell me you don't like beer because it barely tastes like beer. And it's just light enough with the fizz that if you get one of those down you, it's a bit of a hair of the dog. And then just got to get back out there. Really don't think you're going to have that many issues in Vegas, because the thing about Vegas is it's 24 hours a day. So it doesn't matter what time you go down to the casino floor. It could be 3 a.m, 3 p.m. It feels the same. You kind of don't have any sense of day, and don't bother trying to get on the time zone. If you're going to party, that like don't bother trying to get on it. Just stay on English time, but in reverse. Top 3 wankers you've met in the industry. Oh, the gallery laughing here. The people always ask this question. I understand it because I feel like I'd want to know as well. I've been pretty lucky, I have to say. I've met people that I've been slightly disappointed by. I saw something on Instagram the other day and it gave me a little like PTSD, like trip down memory lane about something that I don't think I've ever spoke about it before. Because I think on the whole, I've been pretty lucky. And also, I'm really thick-skinned, as you guys know. So it's like, it takes quite a lot for me to be ruffled. I've done GMB, I've been on with Piers Morgan. You know, I've been on people who are tough and I like an interview where someone is tough with me. But I had an experience I think it was the first series of Price Perfection I was promoting. And I had an experience with a female host, and it was really one of the worst experiences that I've probably had in an interview, because I felt like she didn't want me there. The question line, you know, and like I say, I don't mind being put on the spot. I was meant to be promoting the documentary and everything I'd learned about the industry, and she very much wanted to make it about me and what I looked like. She said in her second question, she said, so what have you had done? And I was a bit like, whoa, like, and I'm open to it, but like, that's kind of not where I'm talking about the cosmetic industry as a whole. And she's like, can I say something to you? It's live on air. She goes, I don't know what you were trying to achieve, but you look a lot older because of what you've done to yourself. That was her second question. And it just felt just very like tonally wrong for a show that is meant to be about a safe space for women and uplifting women. And it was just a really horrible experience. And it stayed with me for a little while because, like I say, I've been on the spot, I've had tough interviews. But when I left that studio, I was like, I remember for 20 minutes, I just sat in silence. And I was like, what just actually happened? You know, my worst nightmare is someone to be on one of my shows and feel that way. But I did have a little sweet moment because as I'm leaving the studio, Jodie Comer's coming in because she's the next guest. And I think, oh my God, it's Jodie Comer. So I kind of looked at her and kind of like looked to the side because I thought, oh, she's going in to be interviewed, I don't want to bother her. And literally she's got to the door, she like grabbed my arm and she went, Liv, I just love your shows. I think they're fab. And I was like, oh my God, the Jodie Comer just literally said she watches my fucking shows. So it was a little like after, what felt like a 15-minute psychological assault, that was like a bit of sweetness. And this host had not got up to say goodbye to me. But yeah, she got up to greet Jodie. So I think it was probably in her earshot. So I just thought, okay, well, if I'm good enough for Jodie Comer, I'm happy. I can die happy with that. 2 people did stories for me that I didn't ask for. Got Kwam and God, got a lot of the gays that always come for me. And Will Young, random. They both did stories being like, what an absolute queen, handled herself with dignity and grace. Okay, next question. This year's I'm a Celebrity, who would you snog, marry, avoid? Okay, snog, Kelly Brook. I mean, just guess in a platonic way, because I've got that disease, being straight. But she's just lush. I think she's gorge. I think she is an icon. I think that she gets a really hard time, unfairly so. I think people can't deal with the fact that she's beautiful, she's got big boobs, and she's got an opinion. Like, it pisses people off. And I honestly really like Kelly. I've always had a lot of time for her. Marry Ruby Wax, because like, just imagine the lols. Like, she's my idol as a broadcaster, interviewer. I've watched so much old Ruby Wax interviews and her docs she used to do, and she's someone that I've taken a lot of inspiration from in the approach that I have with my shows. I think she's like the original of those really kind of those gritty, but she's got funny with it, and she's self-deprecating, and she, and I think she's fucking brilliant. I adore her. I'm gonna have to avoid the rest of them because I can't remember. If I can't remember you, then I probably should avoid you. The boys seem quite nice, H and Ginge, but yeah, probably avoid the rest of them because they're the two that have made the biggest impact on me. I also think Vogue should have stayed a bit longer. I think she had more to offer, but reality TV, the viewers are always harder on women. It's just a fact. I hate to play that fucking trumpet because look, for me, I actually got lucky because I was a complete. I got through to the finals, but in general, people are really hard on women on reality TV. This question. Do you ever miss being single? This is not a dig at Brad. We love him. Do you know what? If I'm completely honest, no, because I think that the relationship I had with Brad is that for the only relationship I've ever had in my life, he lets me be completely myself, and I never feel like I have to apologise for who I am. And then I get the nice sides of having a partner, because at the end of the day, like, life is really fucking hard. You can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends and you can choose your partner. And I think that decision is so important because it should be someone that makes your life easier and better, not worse. And I think that when I was in relationships in the past, I always just thought, oh my God, like, this is so awful. Like, what is this Ponzi scheme? Like, why are we all falling for it? But actually, it is actually really enjoyable. It does take work. But I think people who miss being single when they're in relationships, one, they're in a relationship where they feel like they've had to give up too much of their identity. So I think they miss themselves, which is a bad sign for a start. And two, or they just hate their partner, which is quite common. And I just act like I'm single anyway. And I just... Who's the person that tells you the brutal truth even when you don't want to hear it? I've got a few of these. Okay, my mum, Jen. But there's something about hearing she's too much truth, and then there's something about hearing the truth from your mum a lot that then can like cause friction between you and them. But my mum's always been brutally honest. But I think there's also a thing as well, isn't there? Like, in hindsight, sometimes I'm like, she's right, but because it's your mum, sometimes when she says something to me, I don't want to hear it. I think you're wrong. Like, there's just like a resistance, isn't it? I'm the eldest daughter, so I feel like I'm the manager. So I'm like, you are my subordinate. Like, you can't be giving me feedback. It's meant to be the other way around. But then so other people, my best friend Mark, he'll tell me straight, and my agent Scarlett, because she's very like calm and level-headed, and she's opinionated but not over-opinionated. Like, I don't think she'd ever say that she thought something was wrong for the sake of it. So when she says that she thinks something doesn't look right or I shouldn't do something, I take that on, because I know that she doesn't just give out opinions for the sake of it. My mum's an opinion junkie. That's like her crack. So I have to weed between all the opinions. Whereas Scarlett, it's like, when she says, I don't think you should do that, I'm like, okay. Can you tell us the story of the TikTok about the leech? No, I can't talk about this. Can I? So just for like real short context, because I don't want to, I said to you guys on Instagram and TikTok, I was like, I'm going to tell you the exact story, the ins and outs of like what happened. But in hindsight, it doesn't feel like the right thing to do, because I think the repercussions for the other person could be, I don't want that on my karma. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel hurt, and I did my TikTok, and I kind of like, I had my little dig out, but I kind of feel like I think I need to leave the rest to the universe. But essentially, I had a friend who was working as my assistant, which was a mistake. I'll never do again. And people told me it was a mistake, but, for a long time it did work really well. And, I think over a 6 month period that the relationship, our friendship started to fall apart. And for whatever reason, I made attempts to try and work out, why it felt like it had changed, why I felt like, the respect towards me, was gone. I was like, I don't know what I've done to you, I don't know why, now you're kind of messing me around and letting me down. And, I attempted to kind of have those conversations. I didn't really get anywhere. It all kind of came to a bit of a head. We had a big falling out, letting the dust settle to see how we could move forward, because I really value people in my life and people that have been in my life a long time. And then what happens is, right, when you've been very close to someone and then you're not talking, so then the word starts to spread that you're not talking. So then a lot of people come out of the woodwork and go, oh, I didn't want to tell you this at the time because you were so close, but I've always wanted to tell you X, Y, Z. And you're like, right. And then another person comes, and before you know, you're thinking, oh, fucking hell, the more I know here, there's literally no going back. There's no way. And then I think that's the headspace. The day that I did that TikTok, I'd had another person contact me and, describe in detail in a way that I could verify as well. It wasn't just, I was verifying these stories as best I could. That was like, okay, this kind of did betrayal. And I was like, I don't want to name them on my profile because I feel like there's a few things with this. I think when you've got such a big audience, there's an imbalance, right? So even if someone has really wronged you, naming them, I don't know. I feel like the karma of it it's an unfair balance that I'm reaching out to 3 million people with my side of the story. Do you know what I mean? But I also was feeling so hurt. I was like, I need to get something off my chest. I feel like I want to do a coded subliminal TikTok, just explaining what I feel inside, but not naming them. Scarlett was like, she's like, well, I just think that, you're better than that. What version of me does she know? You're better than that. I think people are going to work out who it's about straight away. And then it will kind of get picked up by press. And I was like, no, I think I can do it in a way where it won't. Anyway, so we talked for an hour. God bless her. I mean, God, she really earns her 20%. And then literally hang up the phone. I go, no, you're right. You're right. It looks mucky. It looks like I'm getting down in the dirt with the pigs. I'm not going to do it. 15 minutes later, it was up. And she just messaged me saying, good chat. So I do take her advice 90% of the time. But that day, and you know what? I am petty. I've told you on these podcasts before, I'm a petty bitch. And when I feel like someone's hurt me, I'm trying to work on being more mature when I'm hurt. And I'm very, very divided. I sometimes people catch you in a day and I sit on this fucking pedestal and I go, no, I'm very Mel Robbins, let them, with the press. I'm like, let them, don't use your energy. Your energy is so precious. And then the other day, I'm like, I'm going to drag you to hell. I don't care if I go down with you. I don't care if I'm ruining my mental health. So I'm very split. So on any given day, I don't know which side of the fence I am. But I mean, everything to do with who that's about, people know. Do you know what I mean? This is the worst thing, okay, for me about being in this industry. And you guys think I'm really unfiltered. And I am to a degree, but nowhere near what I used to be like, or what in my soul I want to be. The worst thing about being in this industry is sometimes you feel a little bit gagged, because when you've got a platform and you've got, people that look up to you and you've got, expectation, and you've got your big bosses at ITV, they're looking at your social media. I want to go on my social media and be like, do you know what? You're a fucking and you curb the wheels on my car and blah, blah, blah. And I want to just really stick it on people, but you just can't, it doesn't look right. And then, and people go, oh, she's so naff going off on her social media, and it looks bad to brands. And I know you guys probably watch this thinking, just do it because it'd be so good entertainment. So I do what I can to have the feeling of sticking up for myself, but sometimes you do feel a little bit like you can't stick up for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I just want to tell someone like who boxed me in the other day in my car, I want to be like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, who did you suck off your driving license? You're a fucking idiot. But in reality, it's like if that person recognised them, they'd be like, oh, she doesn't deserve her platform. Oh, she's doing this because she's off the telly. And actually, in reality, like when I didn't have really a pot to piss in and I drove a Peugeot, I was an absolute menace. I was telling people to fuck off morning, noon and night. So it's not just like the industry's gone to my head. I'm just a prick. But now I have to pretend I'm not. And it's really exhausting. And I think what I want to take away from it, as hurt as I am from the way that played out, and God, it takes a lot to break me, but that really messed me up for a while and I was so upset. Like, it really caught me out of the blue, it blindsided me. But what I have taken from it is like a lot of learning. And I think that what's interesting is that sometimes when you sit back and you talk about something that's happened to other people in your life and you go, oh, this happened, you don't actually realize how bad it was until you actually are telling someone else the story. And I'm trying to work out why I had the blinkers on for so long. And I think that there's a couple of things. I think I'm like Taurus. I'm so loyal. I keep a really small circle and I kind of love my friends for all their flaws. Like my friendship group, I just real, who's who of wrong uns. And I kind of really like love them for it. And I kind of love I love people who are flawed and, so I think I'm forgiving. And I think 90% of the time that has paid off. And I think that, I'm unjudgmental. So I think that the difference here, I think what I would take into the future is that my best friends, my really, really, really day one ride or dies, what I realised is that, to have a really genuine friendship without ulterior motive, though that person cannot want what you have or what you are. So I say this in the way that my friends are incredibly proud of me for what I do, but they wouldn't do it for all the tea in China. They're like, we know you make good money, but could not imagine anything worse than spending your life on camera, being judged, like your schedule, getting up at 5 a.m. So I think that then means that you have friends that are like rooting for you, and there's no other layers to it. And I think what this is a really interesting thing that everyone can take stock into their lives is that the friend-frenemy line is a very it's a very thin, blurred line. And I think that sometimes people, they want what you have. They probably don't think that you really deserve what you have. So they kind of are close to you, but the motive isn't maybe 100% organic. They maybe don't realise that. And like I say, because I see good in people and I focus on good rather than bad, I think that I've made this mistake a few times in my life. And I think that, I've had some heartbreak from friendships falling apart worse than I have from boyfriends. But I think that, I think I should have noticed disrespect sooner and called it out rather than ignoring it. And I think, again, that comes back a little bit to this thing of me not really having the balance of my life right a little bit. So I think on the personal side of things, I let things slide and, kind of happen this year that I really wouldn't have before, definitely wouldn't have 4 or 5 years ago. And there can be something quite isolating about this industry in the sense that once you have someone in your circle and they know so much about you and, you kind of, what you want to keep people there because you bringing new people into your life, into your circle is quite scary. So I think then I was basically ignoring a lot of things that I should have. I didn't think that, I felt the disrespect to my face, which I was kind of trying to work out where it's coming from, but I didn't realise it was also going on behind my back. Because also, to be fair, I don't mind my friends calling me a dickhead to my face, but, calling someone, your friend, a dickhead behind their back, I think is worse, especially when I feel like I was going above and beyond for that person and had done so many favours and been so generous. And I think that with generosity of spirit or material things, I think it's a great thing. I think of myself as a generous person. My parents are incredibly generous people and that's where I get it from, and I never would ever regret generosity. But I think the line has to be treaded very carefully, because I think when you are really generous to the wrong people, it goes from being, oh my God, thank you so much, to an expected, like a they just expect it. And then the lines that become very blurred, and then it can feel it can be a bit like a violation. And also I think it's really hard that when you've gone so far with a setup, a relationship, a working relationship, and you've set these dynamics for yourself of things that person expects, it's actually really hard actually to bring it back. And then I think when you try and bring it back a little bit and try and get things back into more of like a reasonable stratosphere, then you can get met by hostility from the other person. And then you kind of see, oh wait, hold on. But like, what if all this went tomorrow and I didn't have any of this? Like, would you still want to be here? Would you still want to be my friend? You know? And I think that I'm happy now. I'm happier, and I think it's for the best. So I think sometimes you have to take stock of what someone's showing you rather than what you want to see. Yeah, it was the year of the snake, apparently. Go figure. Do you know that? It was the Chinese year of the snake. I saw that on TikTok there. I was like, wow. Well, I had a couple, and they're all gone now. So yeah, 2026, we're going, no snakes. If you've been tuning into Olivia's house, we have a policy, a little segment of the show where I ask the guests to leave something at the door. So I guess I should do my own, really. What do I want to leave at the door? I think my leave it at the doors at the moment would be friends with ulterior motives. And this virus, because honestly, I know I'm such a victim. My God, I've literally you think I'm some survivor of some obscure disease, the way I've talked about having a fucking chest infection. I've given this virus so much airtime. God forbid anything bad actually ever happens to me. But everyone's ill, and everyone I speak to is really trying to take the attention off me by going, I've had it. So yeah, for all of our sakes, let's leave this lurgy at the door. Thanks so much for watching. I hope I answered all your questions in enough detail, but I'm sure you've got more, so we'll do this again. Share the podcast, please. Give us some stars, some reviews, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.